And then my youngest granddaughter is 2.5, and she has this book that she loves. She calls it the Circle Book, and it's really called Thank God for Circles. It's a very simple book, but the idea is God has no beginning and no end like a circle, and it's got a few, very simple pictures, and at the end it says, when we come to the end of our line, we will find, and then the very last pages, a circle. And she delights in knowing that, like God, we're a circle and we're never going to end. So little wisdom, in those young children. Of course, they're still working on things too, like when their dad comes, my son, then they both compete strongly for the attention. They haven't quite got the fact that, yes, Dad has enough love for both of them. And I think, sometimes we're like that too, right? If somebody that we want attention from or love from, we think it's limited, and of course it's not. Well, as I think about love, I also think about fear, which is the opposite of love. As we say, it's false evidence appearing real. And how often, when we make decisions from fear, do we find that those decisions just continue to create unhappy situations? That what we really need to do is to make decisions from love, and to remember that love is always there. Ernest Holmes says, love always offers a clearer vantage point than upset. It's a simple statement, and it's like, oh, of course. But how many times, if we're in a situation and we're upset, do we forget to go to love? And how many times do we let fear prevent us from moving forward into greater good? It's natural that we like that solid ground, right? Like the trapeze artists, I always think of that. They're swinging, but before they're going to get to the next place, they got to let go and fly through the air. And when we make changes, that's what it feels like sometimes, like, uh-oh, where is that solid ground, that solid grip? But when we do let go and move forward in love, in knowing that there is only good, great good appears for us. I was thinking of some of the people in life that we hear about who've been willing to go through the rocky ground or to go through letting go of what they have to move to a greater good. And how some of them, it took a while to get there. Abraham Lincoln lost 9 public elections. He declared bankruptcy twice. He weathered a nervous bank breakdown and the death of a fiancée. But he said, you cannot fail unless you quit. That's pretty powerful. And look what he achieved. And Beethoven handled the violin awkwardly, and he preferred playing his own compositions instead of practicing technique. Teacher didn't like that. His teacher called him a hopeless composer. And of course, Walt Disney was fired by a newspaper editor for lack of ideas. And he went bankrupt several times before he built Disneyland. So, it's so worth it to let go of the fear of that false evidence appearing real, to remember that always there is new good awaiting us. Alan Cohen says, you cannot be doing what you're here to do while continuing to do what you're not here to do. I thought that was pretty interesting. You can't do what you're here to do if all your time is taken up doing what you're not here to do. And that is, of course, where faith is required. So we need to be willing to release the things in our life that don't serve us and that that are not a fit any longer. We can release things with blessing. Following Spirit is really following the inner voice of love. And when we do this, good results for ourselves and for others in our world. So think about how you're going to listen for love. How are you going to give love today? For, of course, as we give, that giving of love begins the force, the circle of love, and the love comes back in greater measure. The Course in Miracles says, love cannot be far behind a grateful heart and a thankful mind. Love will enter immediately into any mind that truly wants it, but it must want it truly. I would modify this to say the awareness of love will enter immediately into any mind that truly wants it, for God and love are always present. And Course in Miracles goes on to say, gratitude goes hand in hand with love, and where one is, the other must be found. No course whose purpose is to teach you to remember what you really are could fail to emphasize that there can never be a difference in what you really are and what love is. There can never really be a difference between what you are and what love is, for you are love. Well, as we go through this human experience, we go through ups and downs, it seems. And I notice sometimes when people go through like intense experiences of where they're feeling a lot of satisfaction, maybe taking a lot of energy, putting a lot of energy into something, then sometimes when those experiences are over, there's like sort of a dip in the feeling of well-being. And perhaps it's just from the letting go process. Perhaps we're tired. But when we do this, besides letting ourselves feel what we need to feel, then we can move on and move up and out of those little dips by really focusing on gratitude. Because maybe if we're in a dip, we're not seeing love too much right now. So if we start counting our blessings, then that awareness of the many things we've been given begins to uplift us and to remind us that more is in store. So many blessings. Little ones, big ones. There's many people who talk about having that attitude of gratitude as an important step in remembering love and remembering the truth. And even though things can feel tough at times, there's always things we can be grateful for. So taking that time, and if we're feeling like, I can't remember anything, call a practitioner and they'll remind you. Or open your Science of Mind textbook and start reading. There's a poem that in the book, I had it all the time, that Alan shared with us, and it's by Michael Putman and Catherine Wilson. And I want to read it to you because I think it's such a wise poem. There was a time long ago, or so it seems now, before I became who I am, when I pictured myself as a small empty cup and yearned to be filled to the brim. I've searched for the answers so much of my life, from teachers I placed high above me, trying on wings that simply weren't mine, in hopes that the winds would come lift me. I've poured through the books, through new and old. The rituals came and they went. The talisman's power in time left me cold, and none of it seemed heaven sent. The answer lies within, my friend. The answer lies within. The mountain can't hold it. The teachers don't own it. The answer lies within. One morning, at odds with the world I had made, I stood at my mirror in tears. But I suddenly saw that the face that stared back held no trace of hunger or fears. I saw at that moment so brilliantly clear all the wisdom my life had collected. The student was ready. The teacher was here in a way I never expected. We balance our lives between ignorance and bliss. With a prayer, divine wisdom will find us. And yet, our greatest sin is our fear to exist in the knowledge that God lives within us. So I don't need the mountains, the books, or the wings, and I don't need somebody to save me. No, all I need is to claim all the answers within and to follow them clearly and bravely. The answer lies within, my friend. The answer lies within. We are so blessed for living and moving and having our being in the one, in love, in God. All is available to us. We don't have to go someplace to find it. It's here. As we open, as we meditate, as we go into the silence, then we open to a greater awareness of love. We open to a greater awareness of life. We open to a greater awareness of truth. So as we go through today, as we go through Valentine's Day, let's remember that. Let's remember, whether someone sends us flowers or gives us chocolate or not, that all the love we could possibly want is here. For we are love. That God love is in us and is in everyone that we meet. So look as you walk down the street. Look as you enter a room. Deep within the eyes of the people you see, and see God, see love. And as you see that love in them, remember that you're that love also. Happy Valentine's Day. Love to you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.